Okay, hi everyone, welcome back. And in this update, we are going to check out ICP's price chart, and specifically, we are going to check out the recent move on the downside. And I'm going to tell you why, yeah, you don't really have a whole lot to be worried about. And sure, we did get a move down, but these moves on the downside in a bull run are absolutely normal. Again, there isn't probably a whole lot to be worried about. Now, before we get into all that good stuff, I actually first things first want to talk about this very interesting chart, and this is from IC Terminal, and the orange line is the price and the blue line in here is the supply held by so-called sharks, which are the investors who are holding something between 5 to 10,000 ICP tokens in their wallet. And as you can see, the moment that ICP hit $6, they actually sold quite a lot. But after this pullback was over, they saw that the price is going up, and well, they just decided, yeah, you know what, we absolutely 100% were wrong, and they just started buying back again. Essentially, this is what we call FOMO. Now, I'll be honest with you, this chart to me is just an only funny, not a whole lot else. However, what I really find fascinating is this chart right in here, and again, like we said before, the orange line is the price and the blue line in here, or let's say, is it purple or is it blue? I don't really know. Let's say the blue line in here is the supply held by investors who are having more than 100,000 ICP tokens in their wallet. And as you can see, despite the recent 300% plus move on the upside in internet computer, even during this bull run, they started to buy big time. And to me, this is a real mystery. Why is that? You see, let's go in here. Okay, so whenever you are having in BTC, for example, a move on the upside and we are getting close to the end of the cycle, usually as we go higher and we are approaching the last phases of our move up, in this phase, you are seeing a lot of mid to long-term holders, basically big players, start selling. So if there is going to be a chart showing long-term holders selling and buying, you are essentially going to have something like this. Maybe around the lows, they are going to buy a bit sooner, and then they are going to hold in this area. And when we get to, excuse me, I just drew it wrong. There we go. When we get to the top, before we hit the actual top, they actually start selling, and you are seeing a move on the downside in this very important chart. Now, in ICP, the story is way different, and as the price is going up, whales are also at the same time accumulating ICP. And to me, again, this is truly fascinating, suggesting, yeah, you know what, most likely this move on the upside is just simply not over, because if it was supposed to be over, or let's just say this, if investors, and by that I'm mainly talking about whales, if they were thinking that, you know what, this is just a temporary pump and from here we are going to get a massive move on the downside, then okay, they wouldn't have really bought a lot of ICP during these phases on the upside. They would have been sellers in this area, but the story is clearly way different. That's why I'm actually comfortable with holding ICP for quite a bit long. Now, what is going on the live chart, and if we are going to get a continuation of our move up, what can be likely targets for those moves? First things first, let's talk about the chart. And if you remember, the last time that we talked about ICP, we were right around, I believe, these areas, and the idea was that, well, okay, this can be an ABC down, followed by that you may see a move up, but since we are getting close to this very important resistance area from weekly and daily time frame, between, let's say, 8.5 to about $10.1, makes sense to expect some sort of a correction to show up. And by the way, I forgot to tell you this right in here, this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is literally the most pessimistic scenario between all the bullish ones. Now, if you want to be like much more bullish, well, okay, I guess you can say maybe we are having 5 up into 1 correction for wave 2, and then massive move on the upside into wave 3, 4, 5, and this 5 wave at that point can be into a larger degree wave 3, and then correction for 4, another move up into wave 5, and the targets according to this scenario is going to be basically to the moon and back. Now, At the moment, I really do not want to get your hopes up that much. So let's just for now at least talk about only this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave structure, suggesting at the moment we are actually on our way to have a consolidation pattern into our waveform. Now, let's just real quick measure this move on the downside from the highs to about the current point. As you can see, this is about a, let's say, 32% drop. Is it necessarily a dangerous sign? Honestly, not really. Why is that? Let's go on Zcash's chart, and I think right at the beginning of our bull run in ICP, we also talked about Zcash. Let's just check out the recent drops that we got, followed by some insane moves on the upside. Let's just check our corrections one by one. How about this move? As you can see, this is about, yes, a 34% move on the downside. How about this quick wick down? As you can see, this is about a 44% move down. What about this one? Well, this is also about almost a 40% pullback. How about this one? This thing is around a 30% move. What about this one? There we go. This is about a 21% move. The point that I'm trying to make is this: having 30, 40, 25% moves on the downside in internet computer and generally in any other project whenever we are having a beautiful bull run is absolutely 100% normal. And if you are just thinking about selling ICP for that specific reason, may I suggest probably think again. Now, if you're having other reasons, you know what? More power to you. I absolutely 100% respect your opinion. I wish you nothing but good luck with your future investments. From my POV, it's probably a little bit too soon to think about selling ICP. Having said that though, I think this correction may actually take a bit of time. Why is that? Let's go on maybe 5-minute chart. And by the way, in my own time, I rarely go on such lower time frames, I'm just doing this for the sake of educational purposes. So, I'm thinking it's fine. Okay, what do we have in here? I'm thinking maybe this is going to be some sort of like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave down. This initial phase on the downside, in my view, is also another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a correction up, probably, yes, maybe a flat and a zigzag structure. Let's just actually draw it real quick. Probably a WXY like this. And from this high, we are having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave down, a beautiful clear cut impulse. This is correction up, either an ABC or maybe a WXY, but since we talked about having a WXY in here, let's just say this is an ABC zigzag. So what do you have on a higher degree? I believe probably these are the sub waves for a complete 5 wave on the downside. And since we really do not have overlapping of the waves between our supposedly wave 4 and 2, I think we should probably call this thing a 5 wave impulsive structure, meaning in terms of Elliott's waves, this might be the beginning of a move on the downside. Now, does this mean that our move down is going to be strong and we are going to set new lows and the bull run is over? Well, based on whales buying big time during our move up, I'm going to argue, yeah, you know what? Probably our move up in internet computer is not over. Now, having said that though, I think, again, this is the beginning of something, and I'm going to argue probably it's going to be the beginning of having an ABC in form of a zigzag, which the subwaves for it are going to be like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave down into a correction for wave B. We can consider different patterns for it. Let's say WXY in this instance. Honestly, it's not really that important. And then another 5 down into C. Let's go on the live chart and count some waves. Okay, so we said this is a 5 wave down, and well, I'm gonna say, yeah, you know what? Probably in the next 24 to about 48 hours in ICP, we are going to start going up a little bit. But pay attention, this move up might be just a correction structure, basically a slow and choppy pullback into a larger degree wave B, and you may see after our correction is over, possibly another move down into our C leg in order to, I don't know, maybe even reach to about the higher band of this very important level around $5.8. So even reaching to about these areas, in my view, it's not really going to be a deal breaker. These pullbacks during a massive bull run are absolutely normal. So please control your emotions and go 100% according to your plans. Okay, I'm not here to tell you what to do. You should do your due diligence, come up with your own conclusions and plans, and then if you wanted just a little bit more help, you can watch YouTube videos, and for that matter, not even my channel. Now, here is a very important question. Let's assume, okay, this is going to be an ABC structure and it is going to take some time, but again, generally it's going to be a correction for our wave 4, and after it's over, we are going to get another good move on the upside into our wave 5. The question is, what can be a likely target for our wave 5? Well, I think if you want to find the answer for that, you need to pay attention to two things. Number one, you need to pay attention to what is going on in terms of classic TA in ICP chart itself. And number two, you need to actually pay attention to what is happening in classic TA also, but in ICP's chart relative to Bitcoin. So first things first, while we are in here, let's talk about this chart. And I think the first important and significant area is going to be this one in ICP, somewhere between 11.8 to about $13.50. And believe it or not, I'm telling you right now, this important resistance is like much more significant than this, and also this one combined. Okay, it is, I promise you, literally that important. So a lucky target for the next move up in ICP can be reaching to about here, and in my view, there's actually a very high chance that when we get to this region, we are going to at least in the short term maybe get some sort of a reaction, and we need to pay full attention to the shape of that reaction. God forbid if we end up getting like a fantastic, a strong move on the downside in form of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One of my members actually in the comment section of the previous video said, well, okay, when is the time to sell ICP? Maybe it's going to be right in here. On the other hand, if we end up having just a consolidation pattern, a very slow and choppy move down, well, the story is going to be at that point a bit different. And I'm going to tell you, yeah, you know what, maybe this is going to be 5 up into 1 correction for wave 2. And in the next phase in internet computer, we are going to see a magnificent, strong move up into wave 3 and 4 and 5. So in terms of ICP's chart versus US dollar, this is the next important region. And again, it is very strong. Basically, the strongest one that we are having in this chart. Now let's go on ICP's chart relative to BTC. And as you can see, I already highlighted two important regions. Number one is going to be in here. Yes, and this is also translate to that $11 to $13 resistance area in ICP. So I do think we are going to get to here. But again, we need to be a bit more patient and see what are we going to do in here. Now, here's a very important point. I didn't actually tell you earlier what if we get a break of that resistance about $13.50. I'm telling you right now, if we end up getting a break of this thing, well, the next target in internet computer is actually going to be somewhere around, I think, let's say between $25 to about $30, which is this very important resistance area in ICP's chart relative to Bitcoin. Now, let me tell you something quite significant. You see, actually, do you remember when we were around these areas and the idea was that this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and maybe our move down in ICP is over? Well, little did I know, this was a wave 1, correction for 2, and then good move down into wave 3, a triangle for 4, another move on the downside into wave 5. Good days when we were right around here. Now, that's not really the point. You see, in my view, the current move on the upside that in internet computer we are having, it's most likely going to be a retrace for this specific phase up, meaning what? There's actually a decent chance that in ICP, we may not take the highest high in here about, let's say in ICP is going to be somewhere between 36 to about $40 to $43. Now, does this mean that from here we are going to start a bear market and we should just cry about it? No, not really. I'm just telling you this. You need to be very much aware of the targets in here, and please do not think about going to the moon and back, okay? Or at least let me just say this, that under any kind of circumstances should not be your primary scenario. you should just take everything step by step, analyze the charts in like very, very short time. And whenever you feel like, yeah, you know what, maybe it's enough for me, you should just get out of the market, okay? Nobody has experienced any harm by selling, not necessarily around the absolute high. And I'm telling you right now, anybody who is telling you this point, for example, is going to be the absolute top in ICP and this is our bull run target, I think they are probably trying to scam you, or maybe they are trying to get a lot of views and subscribers, okay? Nobody, and I really mean that, nobody knows where is going to be the absolute top for internet computer. And please do not be the one to think that, you know what, maybe I know a whole lot better than other people and I am going to time the market, okay? Nobody is really able to do that. So just please understand that, and for the love of God, deal with it. If you sell before we get to the absolute top, please remember that you just realized a lot of profits, okay? That's the side that you should care about, not necessarily like, I don't know, maybe I missed the last couple of percentages, okay? This isn't really important. So sorry about this rant. Where were we? Okay, so we were saying that this is going to be most likely a retrace to this face down. And well, if it is going to be a retrace, how about getting help from Fibonacci's in order to see where are the likely areas for ICP to show some sort of a reaction in the short term. Guess what? Both of our areas, both our resistances are around number one, the 23% of the Fibonacci retracement level, and this one, which is much more important, is around the 61.8%. Okay, so if you're looking for more confluence for these two areas to be quite significant, I think this is the one for you. So let's just have a quick conclusion and wrap up today's update. The current move down that we are having in internet computer is in form of, most likely I'm going to argue, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, meaning this is probably going to be the beginning of something, and the next phase, maybe in the next 24 to about 48 hours, is going to be on the upside. But pay attention, that move, if you see it being slow and choppy, well, it might be a correction structure for our B leg, and then we're gonna have possibly another move down into wave C in order to get to about this important level between, let's say, $5 to about $5.8, and then I'm really hoping that we are going to have another move on the upside. And during this phase, I need you to pay full attention to what is going to happen to this unbelievably important resistance area in ICP, which is basically the most important area that we are having at the moment, between 11.8 to about $13.5. If we get a break of this, well, okay, at that point, the show in here is going to get really more exciting. If we get a rejection from here, at that point, we're going to make new updates and talk about the specific shape of our rejection and whether it's actually a temporary setback, or maybe, God forbid, is going to be a red flag for us. For now, I don't really think we should be worried at all. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in internet computers chart. Anyway, if you found any value in my content, I would really appreciate if you like this video and consider subscribing to my channel and follow me on Twitter. And if you want more, maybe you want a complete analysis for your own specific crypto, or maybe you want to learn some decent TA in order to be able to make good money in the markets, you can become a member and ask me anything you want. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time with your family and loved ones. Goodbye.